So I'm Lance Corporal Devlin. I started boxing about 12 years ago now. I started just for fitness really, and I started falling in love with the sport. So I joined the Army boxing team in 2019 and I spent about 3 years with them competing all around the country, internationally and in national championships. I've really enjoyed my time on the team. However, I've decided to turn over professional now and pursue a career in the professional ranks. Fortunate to have time away from work to just concentrate on our training. However, when I turn professional, I'll be having to balance career and training. Main goal and aspiration whilst I'm boxing in the professional ranks would be to get a world title and keep pushing to my best ability. I really enjoyed my time on the Army boxing team. I learnt a lot from the coaches and I met friends for life. Being down there was one of the most enjoyable times of my career so far, and I definitely encourage the younger generation below me to definitely give it a go.
So good morning everyone. As mentioned, my name is Lance Corporal Lily Devlin. I'm 25 years old and I'm currently serving in the Royal Logistics Corps as a driver communication specialist. As you're aware, my hobby is boxing, and I've spent a lot of time boxing all over the country, internationally, and in national championships. So I'm just going to tell you a little bit of my early life before I sort of go into detail of my boxing career and my Army career. So a little bit about my family really. I have got two sisters, one younger and one older, 28 years old and 8 years old. I didn't actually have any family boxing before me, so I was the first to sort of pursue a career within boxing. So in 2012, I started boxing training during my later years of high school. I started just for fitness really, and then I sort of started to fall in love with this sport. I competed nationally and international for my civilian club, Attleborough Boxing Club. I then left high school in 2015. I actually left high school with 2 C's, one in maths and one in PE, and then a few D's here and there. I then went on to college to study public services level 2. After that, I progressed onto a level 3 course and then a level 3 extended course. Because I never passed English in high school, I had to retake that during my time at college. However, it took me a further 3 attempts to pass it. But my last year, I actually finally passed. During my time at college, I continued to box for my civilian club, Attleborough Boxing Club, entering various competitions around the country, up and down the country. I used to travel all the time just to compete. Alongside attending college, I had various part-time jobs. I worked in a gym at one point. I worked in Tesco's. I worked in a cafe. I worked loads of different jobs during my time at college, sort of just earn a little bit extra money and just sort of see what I actually fancied doing career-wise. Then on, during my time at college, I went and joined the reserves as a CMT, which is also known as a combat medical technician. And I actually went off and started my basic training in 2017 before leaving college early 2018. I then went on and joined the reserves as a combat medical technician. During my time in the reserves, I went off and done the relevant training to begin getting trained as a CMT, which is a combat medical technician. I then was working in the hospital after college as a HCA, which is a healthcare assistant, on an apprenticeship. I wasn't really too sure what I wanted to do career-wise, but I thought sort of something to do with the medical side of things sort of took my interest. During my time as a CMT, I was told from my PASO at the time, which stands for Permanent Staff Administration Officer, that I could potentially box for the Army as a reservist if I was good enough. So that was something that I never really thought about doing when I joined the reserves. I sort of joined the reserves to start to sort of get a a taste of the water to see if joining the army was something that I actually wanted to do. During all that time, I then went on to winning 2 national titles with my boxing club at the time, which was Attleborough Boxing Club. During that time, I was training hard, getting ready to box in the National Development B Championships, which is a category for females from, I think it was like 7 to 14 competitive fights. So I went off and won them. And then I entered the NABGCs, which is an under 22 national championships, which is an open championship. You can have as many fights as possible, but you have to be under the age of 22. So I then entered that a couple of weeks later after winning the Development B Championships, and I come away with a gold medal there. I then, in 2018, then become a 2-time national champion at the weight of 54 kilograms, which was a big dream of mine growing up. I wish that I could have won the nationals younger, but to come back as a senior, as an adult, and to win 2, I was really over the moon with it. I entered the junior national championships when I was a lot younger, and I got to the finals and I missed out on that gold medal. So that was a big achievement for me, to come back and win 2 national titles after having a big chunk of my career out. So that leads on to me getting offered a full-time contract as a reservist. So after winning them 2 competitions, I was offered to go for a sparring session with the Army boxing team beginning of 2019. After that, they said they would love to take me on. After that day, I went back to my unit at 254 Medical Regiment and spoke to them about the offer, and they agreed that I could be on an FTRS contract, which stands for full-time reservist contract. So you get a certain amount of days a year that you're allowed, and then you get paid for them a certain amount of days that you do. I then went and joined the team for the last few months of their season in 2019, with my first competition being the National Elite Quarterfinals, which unfortunately I took a loss in them, and I thought we were very unlucky there to take that loss. But it was a big first step for me to then go and represent the Army when I never thought that I could do that as a reservist. So that leads me on to the COVID pandemic. So I was lucky enough to be asked back to the team in September 2019, where we were training hard, getting ready for various competitions. On the Army boxing team, you train 2 to 3 times a day. These sessions vary from anything from running to bag work, to sparring, to partner work, from S&C, so strength and conditioning sessions, loads of variety. Unfortunately, the COVID pandemic hit the UK in 2020 around March time, which meant the team had to discontinue training and go back to their units for further direction. During this time, I had to go home. When I decided to be a full-time reservist, I had to leave my apprenticeship at the hospital because I was down in Aldershot Monday to Friday, 5 days a week for the period of time that I was there. So I come home, and because I wasn't doing any days with the Army, which meant that I wasn't getting any of my reservist pay. And it wasn't until that we were allowed to go out and interact, I went and got a few little random jobs. I actually went and helped out build a monkey enclosure. I worked in a calf in here and there. So just to sort of get a little bit of extra money during the time where it was very tough for people. So with the spare time that I had, I thought it would be a good opportunity to do a challenge to raise money for my boxing club, Attleborough Boxing Club, which put a lot of time and effort and money into taking me around the country, internationally as well. And I thought because they wasn't opening during the pandemic, they had to still pay bills and they wasn't getting any income. So I decided to take on the challenge of running 4 miles every 4 hours for 48 hours, which meant I ran a total distance of 48 miles. It was quite tough. I didn't actually do any training leading up to this. It was sort of just a random 4, and I thought I'm just going to go and give it a go. So that leads me on to my first unit. During this time over the pandemic, I put my application in to join the regulars. I then went off and done an interview, and I was offered the job role of a driver communication specialist. So I actually changed trades and corps, and I decided to join the Royal Logistics Corps at this point. I then got sent to my first regular unit in November in 2020, which was 2 Medical Regiment. When I joined at the time, it was called 4 Medical Regiment, but it changed its name during my time that I was there. When I got to my first regiment, I decided to stay there, meet my troop, and sort of start to understand and get better knowledge of my new trade that I was joining. So I went off and done the relevant driving qualifications and attended my Class 3 communications course, which is the first sort of stepping stone into sort of understanding and learning your trade. So I went to Leckensfield and I got loaded on this course, and they sort of went through the basics of the kit that we would be using, so Bowman kit, how to set it up, how to establish comms and stuff like that. After this, I continued my boxing career, and I went back and joined the team in July 2021 and got back to full training with the new rules of social distancing that was put in place. My first competition was back in October 2021, and this was the MTK Box Cup. This competition, so international boxers from all over the world can come and enter this competition, and the sort of draw gets done, and they tell you who you're boxing and what day. I actually ended up boxing in a heavier category for this competition, so I ended up boxing at 60 kilos instead of 54, so it was quite a big jump for me, and sort of a little bit of a risk. I ended up having 2 fights over the 2 days, boxing a Scottish girl in the semi-finals and a Wales representative in the finals, coming away winning both of those and coming away with a gold medal, which was another good achievement of mine, and something that I was very proud of. So that leads me on to 2022. I became vice captain for the Army boxing team. So July in 2022, the team formed up again, and I was given the news that I received vice captain of the Army boxing team. This was such a big thing for me, as the Army boxing team is something I'm very passionate about, and I continued to train hard with them until the end of the season in June 22. After this, I went back to work and completed my Class 2 communications course. So this is another step up from the Class 3. So you go back to Leckensfield, they teach you more stuff that you need to know, and it's sorts of, you get a better understanding and a more beneficial bit of learning. I went back to the team in September 22 and continued my training with the team, boxing until June 2023. So in October 2023, I promoted to Lance Corporal. I then went off and done some career courses over the end of 2023, and spent a lot of time working in the store, assisting the storemen with different jobs on a daily. And I took a step back from boxing at this point because I felt that I had spent a lot of time boxing, and I felt that I had a new opportunity to sort of develop myself and show that I am capable of being a Lance Corporal, and I know my trade and I know my job. So I spent a lot of time sort of doing more courses to sort of benefit myself and make myself be better at my job. Because I promoted, I had to move on. So I had to pick a a new regiment that I wanted to go to. So I put in 6 options where you pick where you would like to go, and they come back and they give you a job and a post where they want you to go. So I started my new regiment. I was given the post at 151 RLC Regiment. This is a reserve regiment, which is different to a regular unit. However, because I've worked with reservists before and I've been a reservist myself, I felt that I could understand and I knew how to work with the reserves. So I started there in February 2024 as a driver communication specialist, as a regular soldier to work alongside the reserves. I'm one in about 10 regular soldiers that are here as permanent staff. But it's a very good environment to be in, and I'm enjoying my time there at the minute, sort of traveling around with them, delivering them comms lessons, going around with them on exercise, sort of getting more of a better understanding, working with them, and I'm enjoying my time there so far. So during my time at 151 RLC Regiment, they allowed me and give me the opportunity to be an assistant coach at international competitions. So as well as a boxer, I am a boxing coach. So I joined them in Melbourne, Australia, to help assist them with coaching, sort of getting the team ready, who I used to box alongside, getting them ready to compete against the Australians. And we had a very successful time out there, winning lots of our bouts against harder opponents. I also coached at a competition called the Haringey Box Cup in Alexandra Palace. This was also a good opportunity for me by being in an environment where lots of famous sort of boxers have boxed, and it is a big competition to sort of be involved with. So I was grateful to have that opportunity. Leading on then, so my boxing career, so I just want to tell you a few of my achievements within my 37 boxing bouts that I have had. So as I've spoken about, I've won 2 national titles. I've reached the quarterfinals and the semi-finals at an elite national championship, which stands for a senior, so over 18, open amount of bouts. So you could box someone who's had 20 fights, or you could box someone who's had 100. The MTK Box Cup International Championship that I spoke to you about as well, I won gold in Sweden twice and a gold in Finland as well. I then also boxed the Angel of the North Championship, which is in Newcastle, and I won that both times, one time winning Best Female as well. I've boxed in the Haringey Box Cup myself, winning silver, and in Eindhoven, I won a bronze medal. And the big one for me is being the Army Boxing Team Vice Captain. So career progressions and aspirations. So I've got a lot of aspirations within the Army. I want to do relevant trade courses. So I want to go off and do my Class 1 Communication Specialist course, which will allow me to sort of benefit and get more understanding of the comms world. I want to do a skill at arms course, a drill instructor course. This is because I want to go off to a training establishment in the future and be a section commander and be there for the basic training stage of soldiers' careers. I then want to progress on to, I actually want to use my standard learning credits towards a course. So the Army will give you a certain amount of money each year to go off and do a civilian qualification and better yourself again. So for me, I want to go off and do a sports sort of like physio massage sort of course, and the Army will support you with that. So that leads me on to my next stage of my boxing career. So with this, I'm going to have to balance my career as I was with the boxing team anyway. I will and I will have to go to work and sort of train alongside my work. This is the difference between the amateurs and professionals. So with this, I'll be boxing more rounds, I'll be getting paid for doing it, and it will be no head guards as well.